Hey everyone, welcome back to the shop. Yeah, I'm back in the shop. It's been almost a 6-month hiatus. I'll tell you about it in a bit. Before I lift, these are the little things I'm putting on so that I just by sense of feel, I know where the CG is supposed to be. I've got some little teeny marks on the bottom of the top wing where it's going to get lined up. So when these get put in place, I can just run my finger across so I know where I'm right on the CG. So that way when I lift it, there's going to be no question as to whether it's balanced out properly. Let's just go ahead. We'll see where it's going to be at. Okay, that's not even close to what we're looking for. So now what I'm going to do is I'll come in and I'll start bringing weight out and putting it approximately where the firewall is going to be, because that's where I'm going to be attaching all the lead to. So I'll just go ahead and just get it balanced up on the nose. All right, what we came across, right where the firewall's at, right here, right there, straight down, hard for you guys to see it. So you're going to have to trust me on this one. It's right below this bar. So where we're looking right here, we're at about 5 pounds. I was able to load up 4.5 pounds right on this line, or just slightly forward of the line. So we knew we were pretty much balanced out the way the lead was spread over weight on the top. So we're looking at about 5 pounds, which I believe is about industry standard for these things. That's how much you need up front. What I'm probably going to do is, instead of laying 5 pounds of lead on that firewall, I'm going to come up in the side. I don't know how well you can see it. I'm going to come out on the sides, on the cheeks. So on the inside, we're going to be coming from here to here with little standoffs. They're going to be epoxied into position and supported. And on these little side pieces here, the cheeks, that's where the lead's going to go. So instead of the lead being centered back here, the lead's going to be centered up in here. So with the hopes that it's going to knock, you know, at least a half a pound, possibly, off the weight on that. I'm just trying to minimize the amount of weight we're carrying, if possible. So I know a lot of people have said they've had to put 5, 6, 7 pounds of lead in the nose, which is why I went with the 4-stroke 38, because it's heavier than a 2-stroke. So I bet you if you balance out all the weight, it's still pretty much what you're going to be looking for. So let me go ahead and break this thing down, get it back inside the shop, because everything is done. Matter of fact, I'll even show you that we got everything done, everything's set up, hooked up. The electronics are all working spectacular. So I'll go ahead and do that before I break it all down and get it back inside. And then it's just going to be a matter of me just going ahead, go on in, and I'll bring you guys in on this one. I'm going to go ahead and I'll make those little side shelves on it that we're going to be stacking the lead on top of, and you know, with all hopes that this is going to go nice. So I'm going to have to, I think a buddy of mine, Larry, I think he's got a little ingot that we can melt the lead into. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, before I take the time to explain what I've been doing, because it hasn't been good, but what I've been doing, I'm almost ready to get the plane completely finished. Everything else is done. The only thing I have to do is just get the CG set right on it, and you'll see the video, because I'll be wearing a different kind of, let's just call it outerwear, and it was a lot colder when I shot the video. But what I ended up doing was I had to go ahead and, let's just say, decide on how I wanted to attach the lead inside the fuselage, just to get the CG right, because I know how much approximately it's going to be, and it's going to be a lot more than I really wanted it to be, but it's what it's going to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you off the stand and show you what I did, just to kind of do it differently than I've done it before. So what I did is I bought one of these cheap little things, a little heater, and then I made that pot, and inside that pot is molten lead. So what I did was I took some exhaust tubing, I had a little piece of flat plate, and then just brazed everything together. And that's a piece of piano wire that I just bent, drilled some holes, and brazed it. So it looks like it's going to work good, because I'll give you an indication that you can see a little bit of shininess down there. That is molten lead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some aluminum, and yeah, look at the mess. Not going to take aluminum, I'm going to take some plywood. I've got some plywood over there behind. You can see I've been working on the house too. And I'll take some of the plywood and make little teeny molds to pour into. So I just have to take a good guess on how big each one's going to have to be before I pour. And then I will be attaching them, either if they didn't burn the mold up too much, they'll stay in the mold. If they burned it up too much, I'll just make new outer boxes for it, and then that's how it'll get attached to the cheeks inside the Fokker. So what do you say? We get started. Okay, let's see how good this works. Now the method to my madness is it's going to come in this little teeny shelf right down here that's firmly attached. It's going to sit on top of this. If I want to come in, I could take the bottom chin off and put a reinforcement piece under the bottom of this, but I'm not going to do that first. I'll just decide somewhere on down the line. Now where this is designed to fit was between this tri-stock, yeah, we're going to call it tri-stock, because it is hardwood. So I want to go from this tri-stock, and then where my little former is, where the chin comes up and mounts to it, it's going to fit right down in this position. And what it's going to do is part of it is going to sit right on top of that. The other part, and this is the method to my madness, sorry about that, I got it upside down, is that we're going to get this thing sitting in just as best we could, and it's going to look just about just like that when it sits in. On the cabane struts, we've got the 1/8 inch rod coming through. I think it's 1/8 inch rod. We're going to call it 1/8 inch rod. I'm going to use that as a holding point. So what I will do is I'll end up, when I get these things epoxied into place, and of course I'll be doing little teeny divots in here and on this side, so that the epoxy goes ahead and it's got something to grip to. So when this is all ready to glue into place, the cabane struts will be out. I can probably pull them out with some force. I'll just take the top, my little top storage, my carrying bar, go ahead and just pull the cabanes off. Then I'll come through with the same size drill bit, or maybe one size up, and drill through, once this is glued into position, drill through the case and into what eventually will be the lead. And the lead will get epoxied in here. This is my whole thing with weight. This accounts for weight. So I'll go ahead and have everything, the epoxy glued in, and then so when this thing is mounted into position, you're going to drill through, so this will actually help stabilize the load. Crazy as it sounds, I'm going to do it anyway, just because it's just, for me, you've got something else helping to hold this into position on both sides. And as you can see, I'm going to have to make some changes to how high up this is going to have to sit, and what I'm going to have to trim out over here so that we can go ahead and close this part here. So as things go on, this may come all the way up to here and be cut across at an angle, so that the foot of this part here is going to go ahead and sit on that ledge, and the rest is just going to be suspended. So let me go ahead over there, get everything prepped, get these glued in, and then I'll bring it back just to show you what it's going to look like. Alright, I had to put in a little teeny standoff, and it's made out of Sitka spruce, just to raise it up, rise it up, raise it up just a little bit, so that way when I go ahead and put the chin cowling on, it does not interfere with it, does not hit it. So these things are ready to go ahead and glue into position. Okay, the parts are installed, the buckets are installed, everything is good. The epoxy is pretty much just about fully set. Anyway, 5-minute epoxy. I mixed a big batch for both sides. You got to watch yourself with big batches because they can start setting earlier. Never had a real big problem with 5-minute epoxy. I've done 30 and 60 minute. where all of a sudden you mix a little bit too much, and you're running that batch out of the shop and throwing it on the ground because it starts smoking like crazy. So I've got my little 1/8 inch rods in, free spinning, so these are properly set up so the cabane struts can go on through. You can see it spinning both sides, so we're good with that. So as soon as this thing sets up, which is fully set now, I'm not ready to throw the weights in it yet. I can go ahead and mount the motor if I wish, because I did a little test before I went ahead and glued these things in position. No interference with the motor whatsoever, or even the exhaust. The exhaust stand's proud of this too. So we are good with where these things are located, and that little bit of extra standoff puts the majority, the mass of the weight right here in the middle. So that's about 1.5 inches farther off than the firewall. Remember, 5 pounds on the firewall line, right about here, 5 pounds. So 3 3/4 pounds right about here should be good. We're going to find out when we get those wings back up on the plane and we take it outside for a weight balance. Okay, they are done. They're in, and of course we do have the rods from the cabanes holding everything in place, so they're not going to go anywhere. These are not completely fixed in yet. They're just resting in their gravity, with this just holding in it, just like a placement rod, so it's holding it in place. Eventually these things will be, once I get the weight right, they will be epoxied in place, so that way they cannot dance around. Right now they can I can slide these in and out just by pulling the cabane off each side and then just going outside and flipping it upside down. They'll both just slide right out. So right now they're just being held in position, and you can see they're not moving around back and forth, so they're in there solidly, which is good. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get the rest of this all put back together again, and we're not going to be, because this is later on in the afternoon, we got the sun setting that way, so I'm going to go ahead and get this all put together. And then hopefully within the next couple days, I could find a little bit of time to get this thing outside back on one of my tables. I've got a folding table. I'll get back on the folding table. We'll get it outside. Hopefully it'll be nice and sunny out still. And we'll see how well she balances. All right, it's been 6 months and 1 week since the last time you saw this thing outside. Now, I have not picked it up yet, but let's take a good look and see how well I did with measuring. I've got this thing set up so we should be right about 30, it's going to probably be somewhere around 32-33% of the wing of the cord. So let's see how well I did. This is going to be a tough little lift. I think I did pretty good. We're right about there. Sometimes we get a little bit lucky. If I needed to add a little bit more weight to get that nose down, it looked like it was pretty good attitude from in front. You guys got a different view, but I will go ahead and take a look at the footage and we'll figure out whether it's going to stay or whether it's going to go. So what do you say we get this thing off the stand and fire up that engine? Well, let's give it a shot. That was very nice. It's alive. Yeah, I've had that thing for, oh my gosh, 2.5, 3 years, because that was, from you guys that watched that from the beginning, that was kind of a rescue. It was a basket case. The first builder did not do a very good job who was putting that thing together. And I was the one that had to fix the issues that I came across when I was just trying to fix up the mess. Now, when you guys saw the way that thing was balanced, it was still a little on the tail heavy side. It was also empty. So the fuel sits up front on those things. So when it was full, it actually weighed out much nicer. But once again, that was when it was empty. That thing should have stayed about level. So it's going to be my decision now. Do I want to go ahead and fly it like that? And that, when I measure it out, is at 33%. And that's kind of on what I would consider a good, comfortable zone for the way I fly. And you're going to find out what's going to happen with that thing when it takes off. Now, the top wing is adjustable. And the way I've got it set up right now, I've actually got it with almost 2 degrees of down, just to contradict what you know is going to happen with that plane. Is that really going to affect that much? It very well might. But we're going to have to see, most likely, how she flies when I have an opportunity to go fly it. Now, the reason why, for all of you that have been willing to stay this long on this video, the reason why I had to stop working on that thing, and didn't do any flying at all this year. First of all, April, the same day you guys saw me take that thing outside just to see how the CG was with nothing in it. I got a call from the son of a very, very dear friend of mine that I've known for 22 years. And he's been battling health issues at that point. At his father's request, he called just to say that he wanted to see me before he was going to die. So I had a very good opportunity to go sit down and talk with him for about 2.5 hours. And he did pass away about a day and a half later. But at least for that 2.5 hours, we relived all the good times. I even got him laughing a couple times, which made me happy. So unfortunately, Paul, he is gone. After that, my summer never got good. My mother, she's been retired for 14 years. She stumbled and fell down in her house. She called me at work, so I came out to see what the issue might be, and ended up having to get her to the hospital. And she ended up breaking her pelvis. Now, it wasn't the part of the pelvis where the hips join in on it. The hip bones. It was on the whatever they call it. They call it the pubis. It's between the legs, and it actually cracked it. So she would still be able to walk, but in a great amount of pain. So we got her through that, and that was about a month and a half. Unfortunately, she tripped. And what she ended up doing is because she was never fully healed, she reopened up that same fracture. So between pretty much with Paul passing away, Mom falling down, and of course family's much more important than anything else, and hope you all see that the same way. And the plane, so everything just got pushed off to the side. From time to time, I did come out and do a little bit of something on it, but not really anything that I was ever going to pull out the camera just to show you guys what I was working on. So as things go right now, the field that I used to fly at, all the gas, we lost our lease on that. So we did lose that field, and that was probably, I think, the end of June. Which was why I decided I was not going to worry about flying this year, because our field, even though the club did get a temporary field for a year, it's electric only. And I do have plenty of electric, but my main airplanes are giant scale gas. So it just kind of puts you in a situation that if you really just can't take the thing out and fly it, it can wait. So next year, I'm renewing my AMA in November, just so that way everything stays current with that. Next year, if you guys fly in Rock Valley RC, out on the west side of Rockford, that is the club I will be flying at. It's a longer drive. Instead of 25 minutes, it's about 55 minutes to an hour to get there. But for what I fly, and I do have friends that fly there, and they say it's a really good group of flyers. So, and that's what I'm looking for, is just to fly with a good group of people. Okay, I do have that old kit from I think it was 1970s that a friend of mine, Ed Pate. I'm going to do that build for him, and it should be a relatively, I'm not going to call it a simple build because certain things I'm doing with it. It will be electric, and it's going to have retracts. And it's fiberglass fuselage, and I think it's a foam core wing. So getting that thing together, it's just going to be a matter of how we're going to plumb everything. Anyway, I've got that. I do have that big 3.5 meter sailplane upstairs that I can go ahead and get working on that, because that's going to be something where I'm going to take something designed to be towed up by another plane, or you'd almost have to winch it because the rubber tubes, the stuff that I launch my lighter duty stuff on, is not going to pull that thing up in the air. Can go with electric motor up front with a folding carbon fiber prop. And that's probably how that will go. We'll discuss this a little bit later, but this might be a quickie, and it's a gift from a friend of mine, Larry DeRubo, because he knew I was interested in it a little while ago. Don't know if you guys have ever heard of the plane, but yes, they actually made, I think, one or two. It's the Ford Flivver. Yeah, he had it, and I told him, if you're getting rid of that thing, let me know, because as goofy as it looks, I want to build it. So I do have this as well. All right, so if you can see on the other side of those screens, window screens, I've got to go ahead and fix those. You're going to see a whole lot of balsa sitting back there in the display. I've got that from a very good friend of mine, Gino Santi, who unfortunately, because with his hands, he's got, I think it's degenerative nerves. He can't fly anymore. So he decided, and he's the one that actually gave me that beast sitting out there. He decided he wanted me to have all the balsa. It's probably between that and the box over there. If you bought it, it's probably $1,500, $2,000 worth of balsa. So I'm set doing all the building I want to do for quite some time. So anyway, what I will do is I will probably just go ahead and we can end this video, and then I might put together a little short video just so we can kind of discuss what you guys might want me to build next. So once again, thank everyone for watching, and I will see you guys next time. I'm back in the shop.